Okay. All right. Looks like we've got a bit of a update on this particular story. And it turns out that about a week ago, I posted a video talking about the Sniper Wolf situation. And it turns out that YouTube finally stepped in. And you want to know what the crazy part about all this? And you'll be rather surprised why it's crazy because um, it was exactly as I predicted. I said she was going to get a slap on the wrist for what she did, and that's precisely what happened. But of course, with the sea of videos covering this, I'm sure you all already know, but just for the sake of procedure, I'm going to go over what YouTube actually said. And I'm just going to read it from here. It says, confirming Sniper Wolf has received a temporary monetization suspension per creator responsibility policies, off-platform actions that put others' personal safety at risk, harm our community, and the behavior on both sides isn't what we want on YouTube. Hoping everyone helps move this convo to a better place. Both sides? Where's the two sides in this? Here's how the two sides work. It's just one person got caught doxing, and the other one was critiquing and is the victim. There's no others, like there's no both sides. And I don't want to rant, but that's just what they officially said. So temporary monetization. How many subscribers does she have again? She has about like 35 million or something like that. So that's really like nothing. Like taken right when you are that big, you don't just have your channel. You have other ways of making money because, of course, if you are smart and you brand properly, you have to have more than one way of making money. And so, yeah, this really doesn't do much to her. Like and it's temporary. It's not even permanent. And I know people are going to always be like, "What? How come she didn't get punished harder? And how come she got away with this?" It's kind of like at the end of the day, when you're one of the biggest, YouTube channels, and on top of that, not only is she one of the biggest, she also is kind of like a rep for the community. And when I mean rep, I mean like she's kind of like a poster child of YouTube because she'll be talking at events and stuff like that, and all those things of that caliber. So the only way that they'll ever fully take away her monetization or even terminate her is if like news outlets start talking about her or the press starts getting involved. And that way, when it starts a chain effect where if the press starts getting involved, then of course advertisers are going to be like, that's a little too controversial for me, so I'm probably not going to get into it. And then they stop, or at least the money stops coming in. And that's when YouTube will step in. Because if you have the golden goose that's making you lots of money, you don't want to let the golden goose go that easily. I think it's the phrase, the golden goose. From, not the Jack and the Beanstalk? Well, I feel old talking about Jack and the Beanstalk. Yeah, that's essentially where that comes from. And yeah, I don't have much to say on it, really. The only part I'm really going to say is the fact that this played out exactly how I expected it. And here's the messed up part, too, that you guys don't realize, is that this will all blow over and people are going to go back to normal. Because the nature of news stories is that every time something happens, people will talk about it for a bit, they get outraged, and then it moves on. That's it. Nothing crazy. Of course, there's a lot going on in the world right now, which is also why this particular situation is not going to last very long. Because more people are more concerned about what's going on down in Israel and Palestine rather than want to worry about Sniper Wolf. Because that's a much bigger story with a lot more, of course, history and all that to it. But we're not here to get into that. Just saying. But there's not much else to it. Like, I want you to think about every single like person who's ever gotten in trouble, just like a famous person, and see how much they gotten away with it, like how many times. And you'll see a pattern. It's like, if you make us money, we're going to get rid of you, regardless of principle, regardless of everything else. Like, take it, okay? If anybody else pulled what Sniper Wolf just did, and I'm not saying this like as a male-female thing, I'm saying this as like how big you are. So say someone with like 2 million subscribers just pulled what she just did. Whew! Instant nuke. Gone. Not even, no question about it. Nothing. And take even a look at some of like the most extreme examples. Like, how do you put it? What's his face? There's, Russell Brand. I want to use somebody else, but Russell Brand also is a pretty big one actually because he got a lot of allegations against him, and I'm not even saying they're necessarily true, but YouTube swooped in and cut it off real quick because you had lots of coverage and lots of things coming in, and they said, you know what, he's not worth to keep around, so that demonetization is gone. Or is he terminated? Probably monetization's gone. But yeah, that's somebody I gotta check. Or even somebody as extreme as 456 DDP. I can't have to rephrase his name because I'm not trying to lose this or whatever. But even though technically he was never formally charged, like nothing. Of course, there's the video that came out of him admitting all that stuff. But I'm saying he was never formally charged. There was no law enforcement involved. Even he lost his channel rather quickly. YouTube stepped in and said this guy is a liability, so he's got to go. That's how I see it. So is SSniperwolf like endangering people by doing what she did? Absolutely. I still believe she should get a harsher punishment, but what I believe is not what the systems at play are going to do. So that's not why I'm not really too outraged about it. I'm not too angry. I'm just kind of looking at it as like a, well, it's another day on this platform. And you also have to understand too that there's a reason why you have like the, what's it called? You have like the 1% in like every category. And it's not just YouTube, it's just in life in general. You have a group of people that are a bit more above of others, and then you have to come to the conclusion that if you're not in that 1% or whatever, whether it's money, whether it's sports, whether it's online stuff, then yeah, it's going to inevitably come down to, because you are more popular and you bring in more stuff, more views or whatever, more sponsors, you are going to get some preferential treatment. And that's what it comes down to. There's really nothing else to it that I really can add. And I'm not going to really go into this stuff either, but apparently there's some other like older videos that have come out about her where she allegedly, and I'm saying this because she allegedly asked some rather crude stuff from some underage people. But I'm not going to go into that because that's another rabbit hole for another time, and I probably don't want to go into it. But point is that you have to realize that, yeah, you at the top, you get treated like you at the top. Like, I want you to imagine that anybody who even goes out in public and they have some relative fame, people treat you differently. Even though you'll have like the few that will always treat you kind of badly, you have the few that will treat you rather well because, well, you're famous. So of course everyone wants to meet you and do this with you and take pictures and all that stuff. And that'll be me one day. I'm kidding. So that's right. That's right. Just see it. Nothing else. But I gotta say though, the old videos that I saw of her, like that stuff was pretty, even though they're deleted now, it's pretty heavy stuff. Like really, when you think about it, it's actually insane that she's basically got away with that part. But whew, the only way for you to get YouTube to step in on any of these problems is you have to not only like spam them constantly, but you have to get the big, like the people bigger than them, like the mainstream news, to get them to be like, okay, maybe we should do that. So unless someone can hit up the mainstream news like tomorrow and be like, well, SSniperwolf's done this, then that's that. And even then, it's still a bit dodgy. Yeah, which is like, whew, it's crazy. But even then, also her fans too are not gonna really care too much, I feel like. Especially if she has a lot of younger fans, they're not going to understand the weight of what she did. Even if you know about something, you don't always comprehend the weight of what you're doing. So for example, when you're younger, you may steal, but you don't understand how stealing can have a chain of effects. That's why your parents will probably beat you if you steal. At least mine would have beaten me if I stolen. That's why you're slick. No, you're not. Yeah, that's how I really see it. But, well, I don't know what else to say on this topic. This is just mostly like an update video. Nothing really else to it. I said I would cover it again once she ever got punished. And she did. Not a very big punishment, but one nonetheless. So at least you can say we took a step in the right direction with some very, very heavy attempts at convincing. But with that being said, I have nothing else to say on the topic. Privilege gets you places. So if you like that video though, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And, and that's all I have for today. Peace.